Welcome back to the 2020 Economic Recession and Preparation channel. I'm your host, Tony. Thank you for joining me once again on this weekend edition. Well, it seems that all is right in the world today. This past weekend, the stock market continued to rally above 27,000, but yet there is cracks starting to show on the surface as earnings season begins to open up for the third quarter here. And companies such as Home Depot, Lowe's, Target, Macy's, and other cyclicals and mainstays of the economy report their third quarter earnings before they head into the final quarter of the year. And also, before we get to that, I just want to talk about the continued manufacturing crisis that we're facing here in the United States. That is not only affecting us here in the United States, but it's affecting others as well. The PMI index has gone down for the last 4 months straight. And it's affecting the quality of products here in the United States. As a matter of fact, there was a report on NPR News. They're reporting that Nissan is recalling nearly 400,000 vehicles over potential fire hazard. Now, this recall is affecting vehicles because it's affecting vehicles that are parked outside. It's saying that the anti-lock brake system warning light, if it comes on for more than 10 seconds, a brake fluid leak may occur and an electrical short happens in the actuator circuit, and it can lead to a fire in these vehicles. Now, this recall, according to Nissan, is affecting the models in the U.S., the Nissan Murano, 2015 to 2018 model, the Maxima from 2016 to 2018, the Infiniti QX60, which is an SUV, and the Nissan Pathfinder SUVs, models 2017 to 2019. Nissan said in a statement emailed to NPR that it's working to fix, quote unquote, the issue, and that drivers of the affected vehicles will be notified beginning early December 2019. So if you have a Nissan with those affected models, you'll be getting letters in the mail starting next month, December 2019, according to Nissan. And this isn't the first time, ironically, that Nissan, the automaker, has had problem with brake fluid leaks. Nissan recalled more than 215,000 vehicles. They said they need repair back in 2018 because of some other brake system defect. So, as you know, a lot of these vehicles are being made in the United States, at least assembled in the United States. Honda assembles their vehicles in Marysville, Ohio. Nissan has an American plant, I think, in Alabama. And Mexico, of course, takes care of some of the assembly too, as we know. But as you can see here, the quality of goods and services that we're receiving in relation to our transportation is going downhill. Nissan isn't the only one to have recalls in the past 2 months, 3 months. GM has also had a recall on a couple of their vehicles and some other American companies that are based here. Okay. Now, what does this tell you? This tells you that this China trade war is affecting the quality of our products. Okay. As you know, most of the products that you see in these stores, in the Dollar Tree, Walmart, Target, Sam's, Costco, they're made, where are they made at? Okay. They're made in China. Okay. Are made in a derivative of China, like a Malaysia or Singapore or a Thailand. Okay. And they're making these products cheaply made so that there has to be recalls, not only on automobiles, but on food products. Remember 2 years ago, we'll see the recall of milk, Chinese milk products, dried powdered milk products, and toys, Chinese toys. A lot of kids were choking on a lot of the toys that were supposedly made for children under 4 or 5 years old. But here we see that the effects of the trade war extend far beyond just farm and agricultural deal that they're talking about in this quote unquote phase 1 deal that we can't ever, that by the way has not been signed, and China is actually reneging on a lot of their promises on the first phase of this trade deal. Okay. But yet we look at the stock market and we see that it's reaching quote unquote all-time highs. It's so disconnected from reality. And eventually, in 2021, the beginning of 2021, after the elections and everything, we're going to know the truth. And this, actually, the slide is starting just about now. We can see that. But we're going to feel the full effects of this recession or depression. Now, on to third quarter earnings. Home Depot will report its third quarter earnings on Tuesday, November 19th. Okay. Home Depot has highlighted slowing revenue growth and provided a cautious forward guidance. This is according to Yahoo Finance. Okay. Now, Home Depot, if you've ever been at Home Depot, you notice that they've scaled back on a lot of their building and contractor supplies. Okay, they're doing a lot of rearranging of the aisles. If you go in Home Depot, you'll notice that there's always little forklifts and closing of the aisles. They're doing rearranging of the aisles because they're scaling back on a lot of their products, particularly lumber prices. They're scaling back the wood lumber aisles because lumber price inflation is continuing to put pressure on Home Depot because they get most of the lumber from overseas, and the trade war is affecting that. Okay, so don't expect Home Depot to report anything really great because their second quarter sales were down. They missed estimates. Third quarter sales, bottom line, is looking to be down when they report on Tuesday. If the home improvement giant does report a strong quarter, meaning that they were able to mitigate the violent trade war and different things like that, the stock could go up, but we don't see it because we know that building supplies and contracting is down for the month. Now, this was another interesting article in CNBC. Economic growth is close to zero for the fourth quarter. If you remember the last video, I told you that we're on the slide toward zero. I told you that the GDP for the expert economists with the Fed were reporting that we were supposed to hit 1.9% for third quarter GDP, and we only hit 1.6%. It's a matter of decimal points, okay? 1.9, 1.6. You can make the numbers say what you wanted to say. You can lie with statistics. Numbers do lie, okay? I've talked to several of my friends who are statisticians and PhD in statisticians, and you can make the numbers say, just like you can fudge an accounting book to make it balanced, okay? But we know that's a lie. We know that the federal government hadn't had a balanced budget since the 1960s or 50s. We know that the economic growth is slowing around the world because Fed Chief Jerome Powell has told us that. He came out in a statement and said that global growth slowdown and interest rate cuts are the norm, the new normal, quote unquote. That was on MSNBC. The comments he came out on this past Thursday regarding the fourth quarter rate cut that is expected December 10th through 11th. So GDP growth is barely positive in the fourth quarter, according to two Federal Reserve measures. The Atlanta's Fed tracker is at 0.3%, while the New York Fed is showing 0.4%. The U.S. economy will barely grow at all in the fourth quarter. No surprise there. If you've been listening to my channel, you know it's no surprise. So we're on the race to no growth. We're on the race to stagflation, money printing, QE4, which has already begun with the banks and Fed Chairman Powell. It won't hit Main Street, just like last time. They're not going to give the money to the consumers, but they're going to give the money to the banks and those too big to fail, quote unquote. So we're going to see a marked slowdown in stagflation as we hit into 2020. I'm talking about the first quarter of 2020 from January to March 2020. Okay, and we're starting to see that now. That's why I say that this next recession depression is really going to get going in the first quarter of 2021 because they're slowly easing things down right now, and we're going to be at 0% growth in 2020, and that's going to cause investors to panic. Everything is happy right now, but what goes up must come down, and we know it's going to be hard. The longer they wait, the harder the fall is going to be, because according to Forbes.com, this is a recent article, 78% of American workers live paycheck to paycheck. The money system is starting to dry up. Credit is going to be drying up in 2020. When business credit and consumer credit dries up in 2020, either before or after the elections, that's when the recession and depression is going to hit, okay? Because a lot of companies and a lot of individuals, for that matter, myself included, is surviving on credit and on cash reserves. And that is going to be limited. That is going to be restricted. That is going to be controlled as the rich people, the super rich people, the upper top 1% of this country who controls most of the money, as they tighten their belts Everybody else is going to be feeling the effects. Nearly 1 in 10 workers making $100,000 or more live paycheck to paycheck. So we're not alone, my friends. More than 1 in 4 workers do not set aside any cash savings each month. Nearly 3 in 4 workers say they are in debt, and more than half think they always will be. It's a never-ending cycle, and they got us on this hamster wheel because you know that rents are going up, housing prices are going up, utilities are going up, food prices are going up, taxes are going up in some of these high cost of living cities and states like Chicago and New York and LA and DC and Houston. And all of these cities, cost of living is going up, but paychecks have not been able to keep up. Paychecks are not going up. Your cost of living raise or your promotion is not really a promotion or a raise. And so therefore, and even if you do have money to save, what is there left to save after you've done paid all your bills or take care of your family? There's not much left to save. Maybe $100, maybe $50, but it's not going to make a big life-changing thing in your life. We see an increase in the side hustle gigs in Uber, Lyft, food companies, delivery, DoorDash deliveries around the neighborhoods in America. So, and that's good. I'm encouraging people to get a side hustle. I think that's a good plan. Continue to live your dreams through that. Continue to save that money to be able to mitigate the damages that we have coming, okay, when the stock market crashes. Remember, it's not just the stock market crash. A lot of economists and people focus on the stock market crash. It's not that. It is a lifestyle and a lifestyle degradation, okay, a standard of living degradation in the United States that like we've never seen before that's coming. And like I said, what makes this different than the 2008-2009 recession bubble is that, number one, everything is in a bubble, okay? Number two, this is going to be a long-term event. So if you're not planning for 4 to 5 years of recessionary times, because we're not just going to be able to jump out of this, and our president knows that. He knows that we're not going to be able to jump out of this like the other ones. This is going to be 1929, 1930 style recession depression. So you're talking at least, at a minimum, 5 years of pain when this thing hits, okay? Could even be, really, realistically, if I was being honest with you, it could be 10 years because the Great Depression was from 1929 to 1939 before they had a New Deal and they rebuilt the economy. So this next reset is going to last at least 5 years at minimum, possibly 10 years, okay? And it's coming very, very soon, sooner than most people think, because the financial system around the world is in strained trouble, okay? So here are some points before I leave you for today. Try to still continue to try to pay down debt as best as you can, even if you're throwing just $100 a month or $50 a month at your credit card or student loan debt or consumer debt. It still helps. Every little bit helps, okay? Because as credit tightens, it's still going to be raising the interest rates on your mortgage, auto loans, student loans, and everything combined, because these companies want their money regardless, okay? And they're going to try to suck us dry, okay? Try to continue to save for a rainy day. Start an emergency fund. I don't care if it's $200, $500, $1,000, or $10,000. Just do not touch that fund. I recommend that you start an emergency fund, and even if you throw it into a CD or some kind of bond, do that, because that may come in handy for you where you know you can't touch that money until a year or two, and it's safe, it's locked in, and even though you won't be gaining that much interest, at least you have some chance of having something saved away for you and your family. Continue to buy silver. Silver's on sale right now. I just made a purchase last week, but don't buy too much. I only have 10% or 5 to 10% of my portfolio in that, because you need tangible goods to survive this: food, water, medicine, ammo, stuff like that. Okay, and so silver's a backup for after this currency crash and the new currencies introduced later on in the years coming. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you have a blessed weekend. Continue to stay strong. Continue to do what's best for your country. Do what's best for yourself, and we're going to be okay, and we're going to make it through this. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.